Let's talk about one of the big issues in the debate last night on ITV, this debate hosted by Julie Etchingham, two leaders going head to head. And this was this claim from Rishi Sunak, that there was basically a £2,000 tax bill coming to every family if the Labour Party get in. Let's talk to Justin Urquhart Stewart. He's an economist. He's also chairman of the Regional Investment Platform. Good morning to you, Justin.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
I'm very good to see Benedict there without a moustache.
That was sort of nice, but
I should have seen that coming.
We're all with you. So he's got his brace on. He's got not a leg to stand on. Right, look, let's talk about this. I want to know what we've had everyone fact checking this, and what do they make of it? Is it true? Are we going to face an extra £2,000 in taxes if Labour get in? Labour say that is not the case.
Well, the problem is, in order to do some fact checking, you need a fact. So try and look through that entire event. There was nothing to say what's going up, down, sideways, what new areas are coming in. It was bland and, shouting over each other.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go over the debate. I want to talk about this particular claim.
This particular claim on that, there's no way you can actually substantiate any of that on the facts, on the information given last night.
Yeah.
Far too bland. So, like a lot of these things, I'm afraid you have to be regarded with a level of cynicism, because they don't want to actually give away all their big facts straight away.
And we haven't had the manifestos yet. Well, what's really interesting, the claim from Rishi Sunak was basically that Labour wants to increase tax by £2,000. Starmer said that was absolute garbage. And again, everyone's been fact checking it, but crucially, one of the key things is basically £2,000 at higher taxes every working family. This is your tax on your work, your car, your pension. He kept repeating that figure. They say, the Conservatives, they came up with that number based on how much they say Labour spending commitments would cost, dividing this by the number of UK households with at least one person working, i.e. therefore paying tax, and then averaging it out. Now, an average, again, is very different from how much of that tax would be covered by people who are higher earners. But he suggested, the Prime Minister, the costings have been worked out by impartial civil servants based on assumptions made by special advisors and political appointees. Crucial development today, in a letter written by the Treasury's permanent secretary, a man called James Bowler. He has written a letter, written yesterday, on the 3rd of June, by the way, replying to a Labour frontbencher. He said he warned ministers that Tory claims about Labour's tax plans should not be presented as having been produced by the civil service. He says, as you would expect, civil servants were not involved in the production or presentation of the Conservative Party's document Labour's tax rises or in the calculation of the total figure used. That rather undermines the claim, doesn't it?
It does indeed, because actually what now you should find Keir going off to do is actually say, right, this is actually what it is going to cost. And come back with some proper facts on it, and actually sit there and say it wasn't proper information being fed out from the civil service. They told you not to. But meanwhile, here are some actual solid items I can actually come back with. Yeah. He didn't argue the case very well last night about it. Now, whether he can come back with facts or not, that's a different matter. But I'm afraid at the moment they're just at the stage of, I suppose, throwing out big headlines that are going to be, I presume, the big stories for the next 5 weeks. Yeah. And obviously tax is the one that the Tories want to actually focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the funny thing is I don't even think tax is the biggest issue. It's a massive big issue for a lot of Tory leading papers, basically saying, we want tax cuts. Actually, the polling seems to suggest that what people want is more spending on sort of crumbling public services, and also reform of public services to actually make sure they work. But the reality is, whoever gets in, and whatever the other parties might be claiming, there are only two men who have got a chance of actually being Prime Minister come July the 5th, and that is Keir Starmer or Rishi Sunak. And on the polls, it looks like it is going to be Keir Starmer. But whoever gets in, we're going to see tax rises, aren't we? Because taxes are going up because of the assumptions already been made and the things that have been accepted by both parties, like tax thresholds being frozen. Explain how that works.
Now, with that particular issue as well, remember we go back 2 budgets ago, and we had a Tory Chancellor then actually saying, and of course these changes won't happen until, and they're talking about another 2 years hence. So, as it were, bonds have been set ahead. So we know there will be tax rises going up. They've already been put in place. Unless, that is, the government's going to try and row back on some of that, which I think is probably unlikely. So this is where it's been such a devious time by both parties. They're actually not talking about today's figures. We're talking about figures 2-3 years out. So it's going to be very difficult. Whoever wins this has got to come out with one word to actually give confidence to people that the economy is going to be still growing, albeit slowly, and that we are slowly recovering. Don't come up with anything too dramatic and say, have I got a magic wand for you which is going to fix it, because you haven't. We won't believe you.
Yeah.
But give idiots like me just a few facts to be able to sit there and say, that works. We can understand how that's going to play out over the next year or so. And then people will start believing it. But from either side at the moment, it's hogwash.
I mean, this is the thing. And one of the big things that is total hogwash also is was one of the conversations last night was about net zero, and apparently the climate catastrophe that a woman out Central casting as a questioner thought existed, which doesn't. Ofcom may provide your evidence of a climate catastrophe and I'll answer your question. But the reality is, with both of the main parties' policies on net zero, whether you push your policies back 5 years or not, we are still talking about a huge cost to the economy, a huge cost to individuals, homeowners, car drivers, anyone who wants to put heating on, and a huge drain on the country in terms of the cost of this reaching net zero targets plucked from thin air with no scientific basis in them. I mean, at the end of the day, things are going to go very wrong for the economy, whoever's in charge.
But what they therefore should be saying, the facts they can pull out, other things actually that are going well. Yes, despite everything else being said, there are some successes. We're still setting up more businesses in this country than France and Germany actually put together. We're still seeing a very good high-tech business. Well, it is impressive. And this is not just in London. Talk about levelling up. We're already doing the levelling up when it comes to technology. Go to the technology parks of the leading universities. You'll see some brilliant little businesses there. Where we're useless at actually is financing them properly.
And also turning them into the big businesses, the big corporations that we see in California. We have the ideas, we have the technology, we have the know-how, we have the brilliant people, and then we kind of build it up, and then they sell it to someone in America who can invest it.
Exactly. They send it off to the Americans. And where are the next businesses, large companies coming from in this country? But the answer is they're not at the moment. So this is one of the key areas. Focus on the good bits and what we're going to do to actually try and improve that. There's another thing. There is no shortage of money in this country. I know we said the country we have a huge amount of debt, but in terms of investment money with individuals, there's vast amounts in all our pension funds and things, properly directed in the right way, not by government subs or anything like that, but by suitable incentives. You can actually put that money to work, helping British businesses today. Now, vote for me to actually grow the economy on that basis, and you'll find, I think, a dance like better than we saw last night.
Absolutely. Justin Urquhart Stewart, thank you so much for joining us.